It's thinking. Okay, there we go. We're starting. All right, so guys, welcome. A little bit about me and my class. So I just always start right on time, just because I figured, you like those that came in on time, they don't want to sit there and wait for everybody else to show up. So we will just get rolling. You'll probably have a couple classes with me as you're going through Utah Virtual Academy. So most of my things are all kind of set up and everything. So this is the second week of geography. Last week was the first week of the block, and we had a recorded lesson. So hopefully you found that. Let me show you a couple things on here before we go over what our lesson's on today, which is natural disasters. Also, what I have you guys do as well, if you're able to, is follow along with the Nearpod lesson. You just click that link, log in, no worries there, okay? If you can't, if you just answer things through the chat, that lets me know you're there, listening, all that kind of fun stuff. All right, so as we get into the class, this is what it's going to look like. Every week, I'm going to put up there what you have for the week. So this is the week of October 30th. So we got the 30th through the 3rd. As you can see, we have live class. If you can't make live class, you can hit the recording right here, or you can find it in the units, which I'll show you in a little bit. On today, lesson 2 assignment's going to be due. I'm going to show you how to do that. Last week, I wasn't as descriptive as I should have been, but I apologize. But you had lesson 1 quiz and the pre-test. So I actually graded those today. If you didn't get those done, go in and do those. And how you do them is you go into content, and you'll come over here. You have the pre-test right here. The pre-test is you just get points for taking it, okay? Do your best, but go through and take it. The next one here is the unit 1. You can do a couple of things. One, you can listen to the lesson recording, which I'm recording right now, which sometimes people can't do it, or some people just want to get the information through the Nearpod. I'm cool either way, however you want to do it. So the Nearpod was doing the 20th, didn't submit for me. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't mark off unless you go in here and just, I'll put not required. There we go. So then it doesn't require you to get it marked off. So that should be fixed for you if you do it. But you got to do either one of those, okay? For the lesson quiz, it's just based off the information you get to the Nearpod or the lessons, so pretty easy there. Today what we're doing is we're going over natural disasters. So same thing, you can either get through here or the live lesson that we're doing right now, all that kind of stuff. And then you'll have this assignment here. Let me just pop up to show you what it will be like. Okay, so I preview it. Start it. So what you're going to do is it's based kind of like a quiz, but it won't give you points for it. I got to go in and manually grade it. But what you're going to do is you're going to research a natural disaster, and I'll talk about all those things as we're going through our Nearpod today, okay? All right, a couple things. Just so you know, this lesson is being recorded for learning purposes. I got to put that as a disclaimer. Expectations we're going through. If you just follow on with the Nearpod lesson, or if you can't, just respond to the chat things. Use the chat tool respectfully and appropriately. The next one, respond to questions and instructions the first time. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about natural disasters, and at the very end, you'll have just an assignment. Some people call it an exit ticket. I just call it an assignment about natural disasters and how they affected a certain area. So you get to pick a natural disaster to basically look at, that kind of stuff, and then go from there. So what is a natural disaster? So if you guys want to put on the board here, for those of you who came in late, this is how you get to the Nearpod. But I want to hear your guys' responses either through chat or on here on the board. So what are natural disasters? What do you know so far? Okay, so somebody said hurricanes, tornadoes, and wildfires. Yep, all those be earthquakes, okay? The specific kinds. All right. Yep. Tornadoes, volcanoes, earthquakes, a big natural event that destroys stuff. I hear you. Yep. Non-man-made phenomenon, right? That causes disruptions on the environment and affects humans and other living organisms negatively. Okay. Tsunamis, floods, natural event that cause things. And it's interesting how like some big ones can cause multiple of these things to happen, right? So like, you get an earthquake that happens in the ocean, which then can cause a tsunami, right? So many different things there. All right, cool. So you guys are pretty familiar of what there are. I think natural disasters are kind of cool because it's just amazing what it does, right? It's not cool to be in them at the time. I've been in some like hurricane type storms. I haven't had a hurricane that like actually hit me, but like it's amazing to see the rain come down, the wind blow like crazy. It's amazing. But just kind of what you said, the earth is always changing. Natural disasters are changing, which are great, that may cause damage to the shape of the land or the people that live in them. Okay. And great changes happen deep inside the earth. So we have like a volcanic eruption that happens, all that kind of stuff, and it causes different weather patterns. So some examples, and you guys have already put those on there. Volcanic eruption, earthquake, cyclone or hurricane, avalanches, flood, drought, forest fire, bushfires. There's a lot on there. Okay, so what we're going to do, my thing, we kind of watch videos every once in a while just to kind of break up the lessons there. But this is an interesting one on some earthquakes and stuff. So here we go.
Natural disasters are part of the way the planet works. In the ideal world, we would all live in places that aren't affected by natural hazards. We wouldn't live near coastlines. We wouldn't live along the San Andreas Fault in California. We wouldn't live underneath the volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest. But we live where our homes are. I mean, those are the places that are important to us. And then there are many people that don't have choices. The museum is presenting this exhibit to describe these events to people so they have a better understanding of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and tornadoes. But more than that, to begin thinking about the risks associated with them. As climate warms, we expect there to be more severe storms, more severe droughts, more wildfires, and to some extent, over the last decade, we've seen just that. There's no way we're going to avoid the natural hazards on a dynamic Earth. But there are certainly ways that we can learn to live with them to mitigate the risks to society.
All right. So there's like sciences and everything like that sit there and they study all of these natural disasters, how they affect the Earth, and if we can kind of predict them, right? And that's kind of our thing, because humans are the ones that are affected by them, right? The Earth's been doing this for thousands, millions of years, right? Having all these things happen. So we just want to make sure it doesn't like change our lives and make us crazy. So a couple things there. One, so as we're going through these, kind of think in your head which one you want to research and study about, okay? So volcanoes, you probably know what volcanoes are, volcanic eruptions, spurting out gases, hot lava out of the Earth's crust. Earthquakes, okay? Earthquakes are probably the most common. Violent shaking, they're the most common that we would see, like in Utah, if we do see anything. I mean, in 2020, I believe we had an earthquake that I felt. I think it happened in West Valley. Were any of you guys, do you remember that at all? I think it was like January or February, something, or maybe a little bit later. Yeah, you do. So you slept through it, but you felt aftershocks. Yeah, so some of you guys felt that kind of stuff. So hear you there. Cyclones, hurricanes, tornadoes, right? We get a lot of that in warmer areas when warm and cold air meet and they start going and stuff. So really interesting there. Some are over water, some over land, depending where it's at is what it's called. Another one in Utah that we see a little bit. We're going to come up to this point in time pretty soon in the next month or so when we get a whole bunch of snow. Are any of you guys out there ski, snowboard, snowmobilers, anything like that? No, you hate winter? I like it warm too, so I'd rather be in warm weather. Well, if you do, this is something that could affect you quite a bit, right? So it might be something you want to research. Another one's flooding, right? Flooding happens quite a bit for different reasons. Could be with other things, tsunamis, that kind of stuff. Drought, that's something you don't think about, a lack of something that we need, right? Sometimes in Africa, it's like 5 years before anybody ever saw rain. Pretty crazy. So another one that affects us quite a bit is fires and brush fires. Pretty interesting. You look at like what just happened in Maui not too long ago, right? That there's some crazy stories that came out of there, and I actually know some people that lived there and were really affected by those fires. So okay. All right, so what we're going to do as you're still thinking about what you want to research, this little video was put out in like the first 3 months of 2020 and about all of the crazy stuff that happened in like the first 3 months. I know we're in 2023, but it just shows you how actually frequent these things happen, right? So somebody may have said on the chat that they don't happen very frequently, or maybe that was some other comment. But anyways, we have natural disasters that happen every day. We just don't hear about them all the time, or the news doesn't report them. So let's watch this real quick. It is a little bit of time, but you'll see some cool, I think they're cool, like amazing things that the earth does. So here we go.
Okay, I'm just trying to check the intensity or the speed of the wind, and I'm applying full strength to try and open this. It's a bit hard. Oh God.
All right, as you can see, there's a lot of things that happen all the time there, and go there. So as this slowly comes up, there they go. Okay, so on the Nearpod, and then I'll open up the chat, enable the chat again, but it says, what is the most recent natural disaster do you remember hearing about? Okay. All right, so I'll enable the chat for those of you who are not on Nearpod. If you can get on Nearpod, that would be great. And there's the Nearpod link I put in the chat. Yeah, the fires in Maui. Yep, earthquake in Utah, Maui. Maui was a big one that's happened recently for sure. So I'm sure a lot of you guys will do kind of some reports on that one. Hurricane in Mexico. Yeah, earthquake in Utah. Yeah, it's lot going on out there. Okay, so really bad tornado that ripped through. Yeah, I think I heard about that too. So it was by your grandparents, and usually we don't hear about it until we understand it. Okay, so what we're going to do for the assignment is you'll go in here, right? Lesson assignment, open it up. You're going to choose a natural disaster, right? So hopefully you've been thinking throughout this entire time what natural disaster you want to research. The natural disaster you choose above, research it a little bit, right? See where it's happened recently or one of the biggest ones, right? And then write that down about where you saw it occur. And then what we really need to do, if you watch the first video, we talked about the 5 themes of geography. And on the 5 themes of geography, one of the things was human environment interaction. Okay. And so you want to basically tell me in this portion how the natural disaster affected the people, right? Or impacted the environment. Okay. So kind of get it there. Shouldn't be too difficult, but that is what is up for today. Okay. All right. And if you guys ever do need to contact me, this is my contact information. Help you out. But any questions that you guys have of what you need to do for this week, what's expected of you. If you didn't get done what was last week, you have a pre-test and a lesson 1 quiz. So make sure you go back and do that. And that's there. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording because we're done.